How is it going out there, everybody? This is SpeedBoy14. I'm about to make a beginner's guide for speedrunning Punch-Out Wii. First, I want to mention the way this game is timed. Different from most speed games on speedrun.com, where most games, like let's say a Mario game, for example, you'll be seeing people use a timer measuring real time how fast they're moving, how fast they're beating the game. This is not the case for Punch-Out. The reason is because it adds too much of a random element to your time. In this game, it's done by using the in-game time, by adding the in-game times together for all the opponents. That means when you do contender percent, it would be adding all the in-game times together for all contender opponents by playing through the game, by playing through the story mode, by playing through contender mode and adding up the in-game time for all contender opponents, and that would result in your final time for contender percent. And if you're doing any percent, it would be playing through contender mode and tile defense mode and doing the 3 losses and max last stand mode and adding up the in-game time for all fights. And you add all those together, and that will result in your final time once again. Because if you use the in-game timer, there's no random element that can add time. Like if you were to use real time, for example, you might get bad luck for an opponent getting up on a 9 count. Because it is random on some fights what count the opponent will get up on. That's the reason why we don't use real time. And that's why we use the in-game timer. By just playing through the game and adding up the in-game time for all fights. So this tutorial will not include max last stand mode, because max last stand mode you could probably figure out easy ways to do 3 losses in max last stand mode, depending on what opponents you get in max last stand mode. So here's how this tutorial is going to go. It's for beginners. Me showing the easiest strategy that I think is the easiest to use for a beginner to speedrun this game. It'll be contender and tile defense, starting with contender Glass Joe, ending with tile defense Sandman. Showing the easiest strategies to speedrun these boxers and the best speedrun strats that a beginner would use. Now I want to show the game controls. So here are the controls of the game. The controls are important. You have to know them in order to speedrun the game. So here's the controls. I recommend playing with the Wii Remote sideways, because Wii Remote and Nunchuck would be harder because of motion controls. But I recommend the Wii Remote sideways. So here's the controls. Press the 1-button punch with the left hand, press the 2-button punch with the right hand. If you want to punch your opponent in the face, you just have to hold up while you press either 1 or 2. Very, very simple. And dodging's also important. So here's how to dodge. To dodge, you press either left or right. You can dodge either way. That's a normal dodge, just like that. In order to block attacks, you hold up. In order to duck attacks, you press down. That's a normal dodge if you just tap the dodge button. But there's a quick dodge you can do, but you have to do at least a regular dodge first in order to perform a quick dodge. That's how you do a quick dodge. After you do a regular dodge, just hold up and left to do a left quick dodge, or up and right to do a right quick dodge. Very, very simple. Okay, star punches what I need to talk about now. Star punches are important, especially in the speedrun. When you get a star and you press, to throw a star punch, you press the A button to throw a star punch. A 1-star punch does a decent amount of damage. A 2-star punch does about half of the contender opponent's health, like that. And a 3-star punch does a lot of damage. You know, in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, when you get stars, it's just 3 separate star punches that you can throw. But in Punch-Out Wii, it determines how strong your star punch is. Like, for example, a 2-star punch is stronger than a 1-star punch, and the 3-star punch is the strongest. Your hearts I want to talk about next. One thing I recommend you doing is that if you want to speedrun this game, I recommend learning the Glass Joe speedrun strat first for Contender Glass Joe. And then I recommend that you play the game until you can be everybody. The reason why I want you to play the game first is because it's hard to learn speedrun strats for any game without first kind of knowing the game. So, your hearts. You have your hearts here. You notice when your opponent blocks, you lose a heart. So, notice that when your opponent blocks an attack, you lose a heart. If you get hit, you lose a couple of hearts. Maybe 3 hearts in most scenarios, maybe more hearts on some opponents. Like this. If you block an attack, you also lose a heart. But if you run out of hearts, I'll show you what happens. That means Mac will basically become tired. And when he's tired like this, he's basically tired like this until you dodge an attack. And then he recovers after that. And then you get all your hearts back. And that's the basics. I hope you guys enjoyed learning these basics. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my ability. And next time, we'll get started with the fun stuff. And we'll get started with speedrunning the game. We'll get started with the Glass Joe beginner strat. And alright guys, that was it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, don't forget to drop a like. And have a wonderful day. Peace, Republic of Speed Boy.